when we left off, we had just gotten through running a search and working with our search results. So now we're going to talk about the results grid a little bit. The results grid is called the single line. As you can see right here, it's called the single line display. If I click on that drop down, you'll see that there are a lot of other ways to view this page. You can change the view. And I recommend get in here and play with this and see what you like. Single line view is a very good view. However, it is missing some columns that you might find beneficial when you are searching for customers that might have a cap on the amount they're willing to spend on their HOA fees and things like that, for example. So we're going to talk about how you can customize your results grid and set it up for different types of searching. So currently we're searching for a buyer, but you can set up custom results grids for when you're searching for comparables, when you're doing a CMA. You can even set up a separate single family home results grid from a condominium grid, for example. And then you can also sort your results. So if we wanted to just start with sorting, let's do that. So if you hover over the columns, and I'm going to use list price, you'll notice that when I hover my mouse and I right over the top of the text there for list price, it turns that red or orange, depending on who you ask. It turns to that red or orange color. And if you click on it one time, it will resort your results from the least expensive to the most expensive listing. Now we have 23 results, so let me just change this to 25 and scroll down just a bit to let you see how that works. So it just reordered everything based on price from the least expensive to the most expensive. Now, if I go back and hover over that text again and click one more time, now it has reversed that sort order. Now I'm looking at the most expensive listing first, all the way down to the least expensive listing. I can further sort my results. So I went with price first. I can go over here to city and I can click one time and it's going to give me those results in alphabetical order. So that's going to be the first sort criteria is the city. So we see Cape Coral, then we've got Fort Myers. And then we see that it's sorted in Cape Coral from the most expensive listing there to the least expensive. And then again, the most expensive with Fort Myers to the least expensive. So that's a couple of things you can do. You can also move these around. If you don't like where they're located, you can hover over any column and you can, until you see that crosshair, like my cursor is a crosshair now, and then I can left click and I can drag that column into another location if I want to. Now there are more columns. If I scroll over here to the right, we see that we have sold price and sold date. Well, as you well know, when you're searching for a buyer, you're looking at active listings, you're not going to need these columns. So you can remove columns that you don't want. So to do that, to remove the sold price column, I'm just going to hover right over it until I see that crosshair, and I'm going to left click and select remove column. And I'm going to do that for all of these columns that I'm not using. The tax, realist tax link, that's available on the listing, so I don't really need that there. And I can remove this column as well because it's also available. All of these columns that we see over here are all available on the listing itself. So now what are we left with? We've got our distance, and the reason we have the distance is, if you guys remember, when we searched using the map, and we searched a radius. So we entered our customer's work address. That customer said within an 8-mile radius of his work address. So we used our drawing tool. So when we look at our results grid, because we used that radius, it's now showing us the distance to that customer's work address. I can add columns here. So, for example, we were searching for single family homes. So I want to enter the HOA fees. I want to see what the HOA fees are. So again, you can hover over any column. You just pick one. I always use address just because it's a larger column and easier for you guys to see, but you can do this on any column. And I'm just going to click, left click, and this time, instead of removing, I'm going to click on Insert Column. And it didn't take. We'll try that again. There we go. And then right down here where it says search, and you'll notice all of the fields, all of the available fields that you would see in the listing form, all of those fields are available here, just like they're available if you wanted to add a field to your search form. But there's some things that you want to add to your search form that you wouldn't necessarily want to add to your results grid. If you add it to your search form, then you know it's only pulling homes with that criteria, so you don't necessarily need to add it. But when it comes to a variable like HOA field, the HOA fee, I should say, then that's certainly something that you want to be able to look at. So if I begin to type HOA, I can see all of the fields related to HOA fees. And if I select HOA fee, this is going to match that monthly amount that we talked about in this morning's class. So this is going to be the monthly HOA fee. So I'm going to click apply. And now, where did it put my HOA? I'm not, oh, right in front of me. There it is. So there's our HOA fee. So I'm going to hover over that column, and I'm going to move that over here next to my list price. And the other thing that's going to be good to know is how often that HOA fee is paid, because it's typically supposed to be entered as a monthly amount. But to confirm that, we can go ahead and we can click again and select Insert Column. And again, we'll just type HOA. And this time we're going to select frequency and apply. And here's our frequency. So I'm going to move that over here. So you can see now, some of these are not necessarily entered as monthly fees. We see some of them are entered as an annual fee. I don't know that particular subdivision. That might be correct. But this kind of gives you, a clue. Like if you see something that's kind of off, like I don't know this subdivision. So if we see this is in Fort Myers Villas. So you guys will probably know better than I do because I'm not familiar with that subdivision. But, that would be suspicious to me. $50 a year just doesn't really sound right. So that's an opportunity to reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, is this right? And if it's not, can you please go in and correct it? And because we certainly want to know what those fees are when we're searching for our customers. And always be sure when you're entering a listing that you're entering the correct HOA fee and the frequency with which it's paid. Those are required fields, and they are really cracking down on the accuracy of the information that's provided in the listings that you enter into the MLS. So if you list a property, be sure that you're entering as much information as you can in the listing and also be sure that it's accurate. So here I would probably be reaching out unless I knew that this were true. But otherwise, we can see the HOA fees and how often they're paid. Now, I could add anything else that I want to add, any field that's available in the listing form, you can add to this results grid. So any field that's a variable. So you can set this up, and instead of clicking this set defaults icon here, the little gear icon, instead of doing that, we're going to click on the manage display icon. That's the pencil and paper icon you see here. And it says single line because that's what we're on now, but I can delete that and I can give this a name. And I can call this, for example, my single family home display. And I can save this as a copy. Simply click save as copy. And now when I run a search, anytime I run a search, I'm always going to land on the single line display. And of course it has these here because I just added them, but normally it will not. So what you'll do is when you run a search for a single family home, you've got your results grid set up. You can come in here and click the display drop down arrow and select my single family home display. And that will bring in all of the fields and any of the columns that you've added. It would also, I'm going to select the other one because it will also see this one. I had another one set up where I didn't have the columns sorted. So you'll notice when I save it, it's also going to save the fact that I sorted the columns by price and by city. So if I were searching for condos, for example, the next time I search for a condo, then I can come in here and I can click and select insert. And this time I would add condo, if I can spell. So I could add condo fee. So I could have a separate search form because you know how it is. There are very different amenities that people are searching for when they're searching for condos versus when they're searching for single family homes. So you can have two completely separate results grids. You can include your condo fees and your condo fee frequency and any other item that you want to include in your results grid. You can sort the price. You can do everything like we just did. And then once again, you'll go back here to manage display. And this time you'll just call it your condo display. Right? And then save as a copy. You can do the same thing when you're running comps. When you're running comps and you're over here on your search form, the criteria tab, you're looking for active listings, you're looking for pending with contingencies, pending, closed, you're looking for sold for data entry only because those are comp listings specifically, and even expired listings. So then when you go over here to your results grid, you can sort those. They typically sort by status automatically, but not always. So you can come in and you can sort them by status, you can sort them by price, and then by subdivision, because you're probably narrowed down beyond city at that point. So then you would probably sort them by subdivision. And hopefully, if you can, you're pulling comps from the same subdivision as often as possible. So again, it just shows you that there's a lot of things you can do to really make this work for you in a way, because when you come in here and you're running comps, you're going to want that sold data that I just removed. You're going to want that in there for sure, because those are the best comps you can possibly pull, are the ones that are already, recently sold, because when we look at pending, we don't get to see what the offer that was accepted. We don't get to see that. We only get to see the list price. We only get to see the closed data once the transaction has been funded and the status has changed to closed. So that's how you can customize your display. The next thing we'll talk about while we're here, just really quickly, we haven't done this quite yet, is the fact that over here on the left-hand side, you see you've got these, the three lines with the arrows. That's just letting you know if you hover over those, you can actually move your order around that way as well. So you can resort line by line if you want to. And in some cases, you know, that may be something you would want to do. First choice, second choice, third choice, that kind of thing. Then, of course, we mentioned earlier, the only reason we have the distance column is because we use the radius on the map. The next icon we see here would let us view the photos for the listing. We can view this listing on the map. We can see this property's history. We can schedule a showing. If we're going to schedule a showing for multiples, we would do that over here on the Actions tab and select those properties we want to show, and then click Showing Time right down here. You see this icon, this is the supplements. These are going to be any disclosures that are added to the listing, uploaded with the listing as a supplement. And then this icon shows us that this listing is going to have an open house coming up soon. And we can click there to get those details. Of course, if we click on the MLS ID number, that's going to open up the listing for us, where we can see a lot of the same stuff we just saw. But we also have the tax information, the property history, the parcel map, the flood map, all of this tax information, if you will. And we could schedule a showing from here. If you are ever looking at a listing and you find that there's a violation in the listing, for example, if there's, let's just say the listing broker had their contact information here in these, in the property information field, or if they had open house information or anything of that nature. Let's say they had, you could see the for sale sign with the listing broker's information on the sale sign in the photograph. You can report those violations by clicking this icon right here, and completely anonymous. No one will know that it's you. So that gives you an avenue to report any violations that might be on a listing. Now, you also have, this is the broker report. So we used to refer to this as the broker synopsis or the broker report. They call it the 360 property view now, and that was the name they gave it when they integrated the tax records from Realist Tax with Matrix. But it's the same report, except that you do have the tax information available here. And I can click this. Let's just say I wanted to print this off for my customer. I can come down here to Customer Report, and now this is a printable page. And if I scroll to the bottom, you'll see that all of the listing broker information and all of the confidential remarks and all of that sort of realtor information has been removed. So this is the report. If you want to print from here, this would be the report that you would want to print for your customer. And of course, you just click print right down here at the bottom. There are other reports that you can find here. And just for time's sake, we can't really go through all of them. But what I tell everybody to do is just, come in here and click on, go to a listing, click on the reports and check them out. See what they look like. Because you might find that, especially where an HOA is concerned, that's where you're going to find a detailed list of all the HOA fees. So I'm going to go back to that single line a moment ago because we saw this listing. So 1700 quarterly. So I'm going to click on that one. And if I come in here and I do the customer financial report here, and we scroll down, well, I was hoping that we would see a more of an itemization here, but that's the type of information you will find in this area. And again, there's a number of reports there. You know, check them out, because if you're going to print these for your customer, there might be some that you prefer. Some of them would print on more than one page, where, you know, it would print with the photos as well. But also keep in mind that you can change the selection there. For example, if I change it to the financial with the photos, always keep in mind, whichever one of these I change it to, if I email it to the customer, they're going to view it in the portal the same way, regardless. They're always going to see the same type of information, and we're just about to jump into that. So play around with these and see what you like and what you don't like. Like I said, we're gonna start to talk about the portal. Before we do that, I'm going to show you what a portal looks like, at least from our side, from the agent side. So if I go to my auto email, that's one of the easiest places to check that out, because I can click on any of my auto emails where they have a portal, because I've set them up on an auto email. I can click here to open their portal. So I just want you guys to kind of remember what this looks like. Now, when your customer gets the email, it actually looks a little different from this. There we go. When your customer gets the email, and of course, the first time email is not going to have all of this stuff on it. It's just going to have active listings in it, the first one. And then as pending listings come along, they fall out. As they go off market, they will fall out. If they're accepting backup offers, they'll stay in. But otherwise, if it's withdrawn, if it's in any other status other than active, it's not going to continue to show in the portal. It'll just fall out. Now, if a listing was pending with a contingency and the deal fell through, and the listing agent goes back and puts that listing back to active, then they would be able to see the listing again, but instead of saying new listing, it would say back on market. So much like the third-party sites, the third-party real estate search sites, you've got the map on the left and the listings. These are listings that you've sent them either through the auto email, the concierge email, or the one-time email. So regardless of how you send the email, this is how your customer is going to see them. So they have some control in their portal. They can change how they want to view the listings, typically newest first. And then the little wavy icon here, that's just the map view. That means that the map's going to be over here. The listings are going to be over here. Click on the listing address and it will open the larger report. Right? So the customer can see, depending on the device that they're looking at, they can see the photos really nicely. Really, really nicely here. I'm just going to go back to results over here. Because the other option, some of your customers may prefer this view to the map view. And then other customers might like this type of a view. So they can change the view. If they click on the three little dots here, the elliptical menu, this is where they can themselves see the single line or the financial report, which would show them the HOA fees. And the breakdown of those fees, or that report with the photos. So they can see, they can set that up however they want to. But again, when the default is to be set up like this, just like you see here. They have some map tools. So they can add points of interest or boundaries. They can change the map to a satellite view. They can draw on the map because, as you see, they can start a new search. So in addition to the search that you ran, your customers can also search in the portal and find listings that maybe didn't come up in the auto email that you sent them. So the My Searches, this is going to be, it will be two things. It will be either the auto emails that you have sent your customer or any searches that they run on their own and save them. But as you can see, you have access to that. You would be able to see that here. So if they ran their own search, you could look at the listings that they looked at and see if they favorited any listings that they found. You can also go here to favorites. Of course, there's, there's a few here. So we can come here and we can see favorites. And this can be pretty powerful in the market today because it does show that status. Once your customers favorites a listing or saves it as a possibility, then it's not going to leave the portal like it would on that active listings page, the page we just left. So it can, in this market, it's tough. You know, I used to think of it in terms of, you know, we're in a seller's market, you know, you can explain to them that, you know, we can't drag our feet. We got to make an offer. We got to make our best offer, whatever. But of course, that's the case on every listing right now. So, but this lets them see that, and that makes them sort of hyper aware, if they weren't already, that, you know, they got to get on with the program. They got to pick something out and make an offer if they're serious about finding a home. You can see the possibilities, and you can even see any listings that they may have discarded. They can leave you a message under property notes, and it's not showing from this side. That's why I suggest that you always set up an email and send it to a separate address other than the one you have associated with your association account and matrix, so that you can see what the customer sees from their point of view, because you'll be able to see where they can leave you a message. And then, of course, you would get a notification. I'll show you that in a moment. And you can respond to that message either here through the portal, or of course, if you get notifications set up, you can respond to them, call them, or whatever. That's up to you. And then they also have this My Agent. So I want you guys to remember this, because we're going to be setting this up in just a moment. So we're going to set you up with your banner. We're going to set you up with your contact information and your agent headshot. You're going to know how to enter a portal greeting. Now, you don't have to enter the name. The system does that on its own based on your contact, based on their first name. So you don't have to worry about that. But you will want to craft a header for the portal and a welcome message. And then I'll show you how to pull in all of your contact information like you see here. And then you'll notice there's help. So this is a place that you can direct them to. There's videos, customer portal videos, and customer portal help if you have somebody that's having that finds it challenging working in the portal for whatever reason. Okay, I have a question. How do I find out what my clients have been searching in the portal? So if they save the search, you will see that just like you do here with the My Searches. So you'll know the ones that you've sent because you'll know the subject line you gave your email. Anything that doesn't have the subject line that you gave your email is going to be a search that your customers save. If they don't save this, or if they just search and they don't save it, the only way that you will know what they viewed is if they choose to favorite the listing or save it as a possibility or even discard it. Then you would see that on specific listings, but not necessarily the search itself. Another question, can you review how you got here again from Matrix? Absolutely. So I'm just going to close the portal. I went to My Matrix. I clicked on Auto Email. And of course, this is the auto email page. I clicked the drop down arrow next to the customer that I wanted to look in their portal. And then I clicked on Open in Portal. So there you go. Yeah, and this is a different one than the one we were looking at a moment ago. And that's fine. So let's get this set up for you guys. So to set this all up, we're going to start by, you'll want to go over on the right-hand side. You'll see the little drop-down arrow next to hello and your name. And then you'll select settings. From here, you'll go to the left-hand side of the screen and click on My Information. Now we're going to run through all of these tabs, but this is the one we start with. So a lot of this information is automatically populated, but anything that's not automatically populated and you want to populate it, you can do that. Just click in and type. Some of these are grayed out. It appears as if you can't change them. You actually can. You can click and override. So let's just say my name is Elizabeth, but I named Beth instead. I want to be called Beth. I can do that. I can change that here. Now, this is not going to change anything except my branding in Matrix. If you want to make that change at the association level across the board so that everything that's tied to you goes by that name, then again, you need to change that at the association. You need to go into the office and change that. The name that you choose to use has to be an intuitive name based on your real estate license. So if my name is Robert and I want to go by Bob or Rob, then that's intuitive. I can do that. But if my name is Robert and I want to be called Chip, that's not intuitive. I can't just change that. So it does need to be something that matches up. If I'm William, I can be Bill. But if I'm Nancy, I can't be Peggy, right? So that might be my middle name. But if that's the name I want to go by, then it has to be on my real estate license. So just keep that in mind. Add as much information as you want to add here, because a number of these other fields that we're going to be working with are going to pull information from this page in order to populate the information through each tab. So once you're done here, you just always remember to click save at the bottom of the page, and it's not going to let you leave. It'll ask you if you want to save your changes. And then I'll go to the header footer tab. Now this should look very familiar to you. This is the header we saw when we were in the portal just a moment ago. But this actually serves two purposes. It's not only your portal header, but it's also your print header. So anything that you print for a customer in Matrix, it would have the same header as the banner you have in your customer portal. Now, if you've never done this before, then this is going to be blank. And where mine says select a different banner image theme, yours is going to say select a banner image theme. So we'll click there. Now you can choose not to use one, but I just kind of think that that would make your portal really boring. And, you know, and even these first few, I remember when Matrix first came out with these basic templates, and you know, they were all the rage because, well, they were new, I guess, is why. But then just a few years later, they came out with these that have some really nice photographs, and they have some that work so nicely for Florida. The for sale sign with, you know, what appears to be the Gulf of Mexico in the background. And then there's some others that you can choose from. But you've got the golf course, which is perfect for here. There are a lot. Here's looks like it could be any HOA community in Southwest Florida, right? This looks more like the real West Coast, the other West Coast, I probably should say. And we've all seen these beach homes, right? These luxury villas. And so you just scroll through here and find something that speaks to you, something that you like. There's the palm trees with the sunset. You can even come in here and change it up. You know, we just had Memorial Day weekend. We've got 4th of July coming up. So, you know, as it gets closer to the 4th of July, you can come in here and change it to, you know, something a little patriotic. In fact, I think I'll do exactly that this time. We'll go patriotic. But you can see, just scroll through, and again, find something. There's several there. You just want to put you just click the circle, and then you click on preview at the bottom of the screen. And we see now that I'm very patriotic, all red, white, and blue with my flags. Now you can choose, I've got my photo up here, but you can choose no photo. Photo goes away. Or you can choose to use a photo. And if you want to use your photo, you click here. Now yours will say add photo instead of change photo, but you're simply going to browse your computer, locate the photo that you want to use. You've got these crop marks. You can make it bigger. You can stick with just the headshot, right? You can kind of drag it out, whatever you want to do. Center it up nicely. Click and drag. It's pretty simple to use. And when you're done with all of that, you can click save. And there we go. Kind of zoomed out a little bit. And we'll continue to scroll. Now, the next section we come to, remember that page we were on over here, the information page? So these drop downs, this is pulling information from that first page. So you'll notice you'll have your name, it'll be on 2 lines at the top, and you want to use your name on the single line. So if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll find that you can place your name both first and last on a single line. Always include your broker. The broker doesn't have to be on the second line like it is on mine, which is, of course, not the broker, but it's the Realtor Association. But nonetheless, you get the idea. You always have to include your broker on all of your advertising, all of your marketing. And this is considered marketing, even though it's through the MLS. So you always want to make sure that you're adding your broker's name to your advertising. Of course, your email address is going to be important. Maybe a couple of phone numbers, office phone number. I've got a line blank here. I could add something else there if I wanted to. I've just got the one phone number. I could add another phone number if I wanted. So just pick and choose the information you want to include in the order you want to include it. At the bottom, you can change the colors. I tell people not to mess with this. And I mean, you can, but they've done a really nice job, as you can see, with their color coordination. So, I say leave it to those guys to deal with that. But if you want to change your colors, then you would just click on use custom colors. This is the print header. So you can see it looks exactly like above, except smaller. And then if you want to use a print footer, you can select yes or no. Maybe you don't want to use a print footer, and that's fine. You certainly don't have to. But if you want one, you can say yes. And then again, under the branding, you're just clicking these drop downs and you're selecting the information you want to add to your footer. Very simple. And then again, if you want to change the colors, then you can certainly do that. And of course, I just got through changing all of this, so I'm going to click save. And that's it. We have just set up our branding for our customer portal, but also our print header and footer. The next tab we come to is the CMA cover sheet. So this is pulling information. You can see from over here in the information tab. It can be overridden just like it can in the information tab. So you can click in the box and override anything that you don't agree with. You can add your photo, just like we did a moment ago. Browse your computer and add your photo. And then if you use the Matrix CMA wizard to create your comparative market analysis, then this would be the cover sheet that would print along with that CMA. If you make any changes here, you'll always want to click save. And then that takes us to our email signature. Now the email signature photo works a little different. Excuse me, getting a little dry mouth there. Okay, so if you're not going to use a photo, and you certainly don't have to, you can just come in and click in the box and start typing, right? So you can see here, I chose a bold font. You can choose the font you want to use. It's kind of like any other email, right? Really, it's, or, even a Word document. It's really not that different. You can choose the size of the font, the color of the font. If you want to use a colored background, which I do not recommend because so many people have a difficult time reading on a colored background. But again, it's up to you. You can even add links here. So I could say, for example, let's see, let's put a space in there, and I could say visit my website, right? I can say visit my website. Now let me just open a new tab really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and grab the association website. I'm just going to copy that URL from that address bar right there. Now, you see where it says visit my website? I'm going to highlight that text, and I'm going to click on this chain link icon, and I'm going to right click and paste that URL in there. And where it says target, I'm going to click on new window, open in a new window. And it's actually already there, but if it's usually not, I think that's probably because I had changed it before. So it will come up as not set for you guys, and I always recommend that it open in a new window. I'm going to go back over here and select OK. And now this is going to be a link to my website in my email signature. I can add links to my social media. If I wanted to add follow me on Facebook, right? Oops. Just highlight it. I would open my Facebook profile. I would copy the URL just like this. Just right click and select copy, and then come back here, highlight that, click on the link, and right click and paste the URL to my Facebook page. So I can do that. Follow me on Facebook, and then that would be a link in my email signature. So you can do that too. Get creative. Get creative. Any other social media that you want to add, you can certainly do that. But to add your photo, that's going to be a little different. So you want to place your cursor where you want the photo to come in. So I always like it to kind of be on the left-hand side of my name over here. So I'm placing, you see my cursor blinking right there. And what I have to do is I can't upload it from my computer in this format. This format requires me to locate my photo on the internet. So that's probably going to be my broker's website or my own website, or maybe some of my social media, or wherever my headshot is displayed online. And then I'm going to, well, for you guys, I'm going to use LinkedIn as an example. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to click on LinkedIn. And so here's my profile. You'll notice over here it says view profile. So I'm going to click on that. And right over my photograph, I'm just going to hover right over my photograph and right click. And you see it says copy image address. Now, depending on the browser you're using, the device you're using, the website you're looking at, it might say copy image URL instead of copy image address. It might not say either. At the very bottom, it might say properties. And then you would click on properties, and you would have to then go in there and manually highlight to copy the image address. But you will see that in the properties if that's the option. But here I can just click copy image address. I'm just going to close that. And now I'm going to click on the photo icon, and I'm going to right click and select paste in the URL and select image. Now 200 by 200 would blow this box away, right? I have found, I believe this is correct, that, and you notice when I entered the 90 and the width, it automatically adjusted the height. I don't have to do anything there. If it's not already set to align to the left, then you probably want to do that. So there we go. And then now all I have to do is just move my phone number over so it's all lined up. I can even use my backspace to move that up higher. And then I can kind of adjust and move it around a little bit using the backspace or the enter key. I'm sorry, not the enter key, but the space bar. So you can play with it a little bit until you get it all lined up. But that's how that works. And so now your email signature is all set up. And again, you put your little hyperlinks in there, whatever you want. And don't forget to click save. Now, agent web page is not something that is available here in Matrix. I don't know why I have that tab and you guys don't. It's just I can see things in Matrix that you guys can't. But you do have access to a free agent web page nonetheless. And very quickly, it is through Agent 3000 on the dashboard, on the MLS dashboard. If you go to Agent 3000, oh, really? I'm in Matrix and it's making me log in again. Don't you love that? Especially when you're in a hurry. Not that I'm in a hurry today. Okay, beautiful. So, Agent 3000. Agent 3000 allows you to put together a landing page, which is really what that agent web page is. It's a landing page. And what you can do is click on landing page. There's a video here that you can watch. that'll walk you through it. There's also training here under MLS training. If you go into MLS training and you go to the virtual classroom and click on view now, there is at the very end, I know it says marketing with Remind Pro. However, even though it says that, there is some training in there for at the very end for Agent 3000. Then, as you can see here, there are also links to Agent 3000 webinars that'll help you learn how to get your free landing page or agent web page all set up. But you do have a portal. So we're going to go to that tab now. Now, you can choose to add another photo or not. That is strictly up to you. Once again, you can browse your computer to locate that photo and simply upload it. Remember the greeting? Remember I showed you guys, I said, remember this greeting, because you guys are going to be creating a title for your customer portal, and you're going to be creating a welcome message. And you notice there's no name in there. The portal automatically placed my customer's first name in the portal welcome message. So it looks very personal. If you're wondering what this is, I use the free version of Grammarly. And if you've never heard of Grammarly, I'm going to do you a favor and type it right here where you can see it and write this down. Grammarly. See that? If you just Google or whatever search engine you use, Grammarly, and add it to your browser, whatever browser you use, I'm using Chrome, then anytime you're typing virtually anything online, it checks your spelling, and it also lets you know how your message sounds to other people. So you can see how your text may sound to other readers. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see what that means. So it sounds friendly. Mine sounds friendly. So you might want yours to sound more confident or whatever. So you can kind of play with that, but I guess they should probably pay me now. and I get the free version. I don't pay for Grammarly. They do have an upgraded version, but it's pretty expensive. And so I don't think my spelling is quite that bad. So I have never paid for it. But anyway, it adds to your whatever email you use. Anytime you're typing your contracts, anything you're typing, it's going to check your spelling for you. So it's really nice to have. Anyway, when you're done with your portal greeting, you just click on the header again and it'll close it. If you have a YouTube channel, you can add your branded YouTube video here, and it will come up in your portal. It'll show up in your customer portal. So, you know, it can be a welcome, it can be really whatever you want it to be. Maybe something about you and your background, how long you've been in the business, you know, how smart you are, all that stuff that will make them want to work with you. So you can just go out to YouTube and of course copy. If you have a YouTube channel, then you probably already know how to share the URL. So you just copy that URL and come in here and paste it. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And then your contact information. So just clicking on contact information, this should look familiar. Back to the drop downs, right? Where you just pull in that information that we entered on the very first tab on the information tab. And this is going to be found, if you remember, in your portal, all of this is going to be on the My Agent tab. So if you added the video, it's going to be on the My Agent tab. The contact information shows up on the right-hand side of the My Agent tab in the customer portal. And then your welcome message shows up on the left-hand side of that page. And then when you're all done, you'll just want to click Save. Now, you're set to go. Once you've done all of that, you are ready to rock and roll with your portal and also with any emails that you're sending through Matrix. They're going to be highly, branded and customized with everything that you want to include there. So now the really important thing that you're going to want to do is know when your customers are in their portal, if they were to send you a message in the portal, or if they favorite a property and you're on the road or cooking dinner or whatever you're doing, you want to know what's happening with that. You're not necessarily sitting by your computer just waiting, right? So you can set up your portal notifications. You can do that. Once again, we're going to go back to that drop down arrow, top right-hand side next to your name. Give that a click and then click on Settings. And this time we're looking for portal notification settings. We can click here. And we can see if it's going to open. There we go. Perfect. So this is really nice because you can decide what you want to know by text or by email. And it's completely up to you. So I don't know, like personally, and especially if I'm busy, I don't necessarily need to know that my customer visited the portal immediately. I mean, I want to know it, but I don't have to know it right now. So I don't have to choose anything here. Or I can maybe choose to have a daily summary email. Anything that I don't want by text immediately, I just figure I'll see when I'm in Matrix. You might feel differently about it. You set it up however you want to. I don't know about you guys, but my email stays blown up all the time anyway. If not with business and important stuff, then just with absolute spam and junk mail that I don't want. So I don't want to get more email than I need to. So, I want to know probably immediately if they save something as a favorite. And if they add a note, I definitely want to know that immediately. And I want to know by text. But again, you might feel differently. And so just pick what you want. That's what it's for. It's highly customizable for you to do exactly what you want to do. And then down here at the bottom is how you will set up your notifications. So you'll want to click here. You'll enter your cell phone number. And then you'll need to enter your provider. So like I'm with Verizon, for example, but whoever your provider is, and then click on send me a verification code. And then you should be all set up. You should be good to go to get those text notifications. And that's it. Just click save when you're done. I'm going to go back to settings. Any questions so far before we move on? I'll show you team settings. If you work with a team, and even if you don't work with a team, you want to go on vacation every now and then, or you might get sick or have some other reason why you need somebody to cover for you. Maybe you have an administrative assistant and you want them to have access to your Matrix account. As you learned in your compliance class, you never, ever, ever share your password. That can be a fine up to $15,000 if you get caught sharing your password, because the information that we have available is just, we have so much information available. You might find that whether you have a team or whether you are, working and you just have somebody helping you out, or you're just wanting to go on vacation, you need somebody to have access to your account. So you can give that person access by going to team settings. And you would click here to create your team. And you'll need that person's MLS ID number. So you would enter their MLS ID number, and then you would click Find. And then you have a choice. Have this member impersonate me, or have this member work on behalf of me. And all that means is this person has complete access to your everything, like your whole account, all of your contacts. They can send email, everything. When they send an email, if you choose for them to impersonate you, it will appear as if that email came directly from you. However, if you choose to have them work on your behalf and they send out email, then it would show that it was from this person, whoever that person may be, and that they're working on behalf of you. And once you're done making that choice, you would click Add. And now you're good to go. If you are part of a formal team, you can click here and set up a formal team name. If you need to be added to someone else's account, they would have to go through this process as well. You would have to give them your MLS ID number, and they would have to add you. Once they do that, once you have access to their account, then what you would see here when you hover over your name is you would see that person's name here as well, and you would be able to go into their account. So if you're working on a team, you can see how valuable that would be. If you ever want to remove that person, just click on their name and select delete, and it'll ask you if you're sure, and you say okay, and you can delete them. We just revamped the MLS training website, the virtual classroom. So these are some trainings that I put together that allow you to go in and work at your own pace while adding and editing listings. If we click on that, you can see it's kind of a long course, right? So it would be a really long webinar. So rather than do that, I put this course together. You can click Start Course, and it's just going to walk you right through everything you need to know to enter a listing. We also have videos on demand. So if you click here, this is just really basic stuff that you probably won't even need at this point. Rather than putting together, an hour and a half video for a class and put it up, which we've gone in, and you'll notice you can click these arrows to go from one video to the next. Put in just really topic specific videos. And these videos, I don't think there's a video in here that's more than 5 minutes. So you can click through these, like search for them. So that's a video, it's probably 2 or 3 minute video. It takes you all the way through the search form. And then map, searching using the map tools, how to send a one-time email, managing your auto email. So if you forgot how to delete, if you ever forget how to delete an email, you can come in here and watch this 2 or 3 minute video. Now you know how to delete an email. How to create the concierge email. We've got how to add contacts. We've got how to add your agent roster photo. Reverse prospecting. That's something you guys all want to know, is reverse prospecting and what that means and how it works. It's beneficial to both the listing broker and the buying broker. Hit counters. When you have a listing, you can watch the hit counters. You can keep up with how many hits the listing is getting and where they're coming from. Customizing your branding, which is what we just did. Refining your search for buyers based on HOA or condo. So you can see there's a lot of just very topic specific videos in here. Some Remind videos, RPR videos. This is one I did on eProperty Watch on your dashboard. I'll show you in a minute where you see it, but eProperty Watch is something that you can set up for your customers. Especially after you close a deal with your customer, because you can set them up on an email that will send them monthly emails showing them it keeps up with their property's value, keeps up with the value, what's, trending in the neighborhood with regard to property values. It can even, if you have the mortgage information and that's entered in, then it'll even track their mortgage balance and when they're going to be paid off and all that kind of stuff. And then at the very bottom of the videos page, there are all these guides. The guide for basic training, like we're doing today, the pro training, adding and editing listings. There's a guide. If you don't want to take the whole tutorial, you can print off that guide. Here's the guide for CMA tools. Now I send these out in an email when there's a webinar associated with them. But if you're not taking the webinar and you just need to look at something really quick, check this out. MLS listing input definitions, common listing violations. If you're entering a listing, you want to know that for sure. Listing status definitions, market stats terms, how to use virtual tours on YouTube and keep them in compliance when you're using them as a virtual tour. If you're a broker and you want a private training for your office, be it a in-person visit or a webinar for your office, you can schedule that. You just need to click here. If you continue to scroll this page, there's some really interesting information here. Frequently asked questions is on that page. So just a lot of information on that, just on that one page. Rules and regulations can be found here, trends and insights in the know. So just click through there and check that out at your convenience. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic day.